Due to the overwhelming success of Kingsman: The Secret Service, I think everyone pretty much knew that this was going to get a sequel. Kingsman: The Golden Circle, or as I like to call it, Kingsman in America. I mean, let's be real, it's literally just that. Due to the fact that their headquarters gets blown up, so they go to America to team up with the American version of the Kingsman, which isn't a bad idea for a sequel. But I mean, sequels are usually hit and miss, especially like comic book ones. So hopefully this one's a hit and not a dud. I did like the idea that they were going to bring the whole Kingsman concept to the U.S. just to expand on everything. Obviously, also because they probably want to make a spin-off with them, maybe down the line. You never know. They're called the Statesmen instead of Kingsmen, and instead of being tailors, they sell whiskey, which I guess is pretty American. It's set in Kentucky. Like their headquarters is a giant building shaped like a whiskey bottle, which I guess is not suspicious at all because that's normal. I don't know. If it wasn't clear from the things I said already, this one's definitely a lot more outlandish than the first one. I mean, in many ways, for better or for worse. I mean, yeah, the first Kingsman had a chick that had razor-sharp prosthetic limbs that would cut people in half and all that. And, exploding SIM cards that would blow your head up. But, I mean, this one, they got, like, large robot dogs. And one of the henchmen is, like, the dude, like, ripped from Bionic Commando. I mean, literally, it reminded me so much of Bionic Commando. If you don't know what Bionic Commando is, watch the trailer and then Google Bionic Commando, and like the dude's arm like is literally like the thing from Bionic Commando. Like, I'm not even kidding. You definitely don't have to worry about a quality drop in action scenes in this film. I mean, the first scene in the movie is an epic 10-minute long action scene, and it goes on for a while. A little bit too long for my taste, kind of. The style that Matthew Vaughn uses, that super fast, like crazy camera, work with the action, you like have no idea how it's done. Still really cool in this. I think it was cooler in the first one, because I mean, I don't think anything's gonna top that church scene from the first film with Colin Firth. But I mean, they get really close in this, in a couple scenes, especially the climax of the film. That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, action-wise. Speaking of my main man, Colin Firth, I actually have a lot of autographs on the other wall. I mean, I haven't shown anybody yet, but I mean, if you want me to make a video about it, I will, just like how I do with the DVDs. But honestly, the reason why Colin Firth survived getting shot in the face from Samuel L. Jackson in the first film is honestly one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of. I mean, I'm not going to spoil how he comes back, but, it's pretty ridiculous and out there, even for a comic book. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You should have just not killed him in the first place, but I mean, in all honesty, he is one of my favorite characters in the film, even over Taron Egerton, who does still do a really good job in this film, and I like how his character actually grows since, like, it's been a while since he died. But now I want to talk about Julianne Moore, because she's the villain of this movie. I mean, she's okay. I mean, she's no Samuel Jackson, like, by any means. I mean, he was a way better villain in that movie, in my opinion. But she's eccentric. I mean, that's the nice way of putting it, because, like, she acts, like, all bubbly and nice, but she's really psychotic, has this weird agenda because she, like, sells drugs to everybody. And they're not just, like, normal drugs. They're drugs that, like, poison or whatever, and, like, it, like, slowly, like, you get, like, these blue veiny things going up, and you start turning into the Amazing Spider-Man version of Electro. I mean, that's all I thought of every time I kept seeing it happen to people. But, like, it, like, slowly, like, shuts you down and kills you, and it, like, makes, like, your eyes explode out of your body and all that, and it was, like, really weird. But all I thought about was Electro the whole time, because of the weird blue veins. Adding on to what I said about her being eccentric, her hidden base is like 50s themed. It's due to the fact that there's a 50s diner, a 50s movie theater, and like a salon. I mean, that's pretty weird. Especially like some of the things that go on in that diner. Like, you'll see what I mean when you see the movie, but I don't want to have a hamburger for a while after what happens in that diner. And when I read that Elton John was in this film, I figured it was just a glorified cameo, like how Mark Hamill was in the first one. But no, he actually has a good amount of screen time in this, and he's hilarious. Like, I'm not even joking, most of his scenes in this film are hilarious. I laughed my ass off at most of the Elton John scenes. I didn't expect to, but they were honestly some of the funniest points in the movie. Another thing that kind of bothered me is the lack of screen time for some of those statesman characters. If you're going into this movie expecting a lot of Channing Tatum or Jeff Bridges, you're going to be very disappointed, and I'll just leave it at that. Compared to like how much they're in the promotional material for this, I think you'll be very disappointed. I'll just leave it at that, like I said. But even with the lack of screen time for certain characters, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, and Taron Egerton really carry these films, and they make them really fun, just their banter and the way they interact with each other. I don't think these films would be the same without them. So if they ever do end up doing a spin-off of some kind, as I expect them to if this movie ends up making a bunch of money, at least keep a couple of those core characters in the movies to, like, you know, breeze it along. But moving on to my score for the film, I'd have to give Kingsman: The Golden Circle a B-. Personally, I still think the first Kingsman was better, but I still feel this was a very solid follow-up to that film. So if you like that one, you'll probably end up liking this one too. I mean, even if you're going into this for some reason not watching the first one, if you're a fan of the spy genre, you're gonna like it. And it's comedic. I mean, you can't go wrong with both of those, right? Anyways, thank you for checking out my review for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Feel free to leave a like, you know, comment, subscribe, talk about the film, all that jazz. Until then, I will see you guys later.